A franchise in tumult. A diabolical domain that even rats wouldn't dare call home, out of fear of being waived.
I have so much gratitude for Steve Ballmer, for L. Frank, T. Lou, Gillian, everybody in the Clippers organization for bringing me in.
You really shouldn't have come back, Mr. White.
These were the Clippers at their highest hype in years, and this is them now. Who knew that trading every vital organ in your body for a pallbearer would bring you closer to the grave? Even bearded snakes can't handle the venom.
Challenging. In what ways? Every way. The situation here is difficult.
Yeah. Excuse me, my apologies. Word on the courts is that Intuit Dome is being called the most expensive prison on Earth. A prison that houses a one-time weapon of mass destruction. Unfortunately, he runs on the bark of trees. With an out-for-season Bradley E. Coyote and a roster full of rusted crutches, one can only wonder how low this game of draconian limbo will go.
Tear down this wall.
As you've probably heard by now, Chris Paul is being let go unceremoniously by the Clippers right in the middle of his farewell tour. Well, not even the middle, the beginning, if we're being honest. And he relayed this news on IG during creeper hours, sometime between 2, 3, or 4 a.m. What's befallen the Clippers amuses me greatly. It tickles my funny bone. It enriches my soul. I don't like that franchise, nor do I like its highly touted and celebrated older brother. That is the Lakers. Well, I don't like the current iteration of the Lakers that's been around for about 10 years or more. But I don't like the both of these organizations for two different reasons. The Clippers are the Lakers if everything the Lakers ever attempted failed. And how they've done Chris Paul is mightily disrespectful. I've made plenty of jokes about Chris Paul in the past, but that man is a historic player, and he deserves better than this. It's being reported that Chris Paul had a falling out with the organization purely due to him questioning and critiquing moves and non-moves made by the front office and coaching staff. Per Shams, Chris Paul and his leadership style clashed with the Clippers. That's somewhat vague, but I think something like this happened. The Heat have 12 triples and 18 tries. We have to do a better job of guarding the perimeter. We have to hustle for those rebounds. We simply cannot allow them to keep... Nigga, did I just get you trying to be a leader?
Oh, sweet Jesus! Lord have mercy! My baby!
We don't do that here, Chris. There's never been a leader on this team, at least since you last left it. I guess Pat Bev was the leader for a time, but now he's leading from behind bars. If there was a leader on the Clippers, they wouldn't have blown a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets in a bubble. That same leader also wouldn't have allowed the Heat to go on a 30-2 run. I saw Kawhi.exe drop 36 points, and there were people in the comments saying, he needs a better team. Kawhi did everything out there. I mean, I'd expect him to. He's never there. He's so far missed half the season. Shows up for work and has one great day after missing over half of them. Oh, he needs another team. Oh, poor Kawhi. Please. Talking about poor Kawhi, you should be saying poor Harden. Because he's actually been there nearly every single game this season. I hate saying this. I really do.
You do not just cut maybe the franchise GOAT at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Remember, he just announced his retirement. This was supposed to be his storybook ending. Instead, he gets sent home in the middle of the night, other side of the country. Something went terribly wrong here. Well, now we know what happened. Reports have come out. But the Clippers are still being mysterious about this when all the signs point to one thing in particular that must have happened. But to put into context how crazy this is, Chris Paul is probably the best player in franchise history, was going to be the first Clipper ever to have his jersey retired, and this is how they treat him. Oh, and he didn't even want this. The Athletic reported this didn't come from Chris Paul at all. I mean, just a few days ago on his IG, he posted, talking about how great Lob City was. Like, man, I'm proud to be a Clipper. Then his very next post was, yeah, I just found out I'm being sent home. What happened? Well, front office guy Lawrence Frank put out a statement saying, we are parting ways with Chris. He will no longer be with the team. We will work with him on the next step of his career. So technically, he is not being cut. He's just being sent home while they figure out a trade or possibly a buyout. So this is not the end for Chris Paul. And I want to make one thing very clear. No one is blaming Chris for our underperformance. I accept responsibility for the record we have right now. There are a lot of reasons why we've struggled. We are grateful for the impact Chris has made on the franchise. Oh, he hit him with the "it's not you, it's me." But people are like, I'm genuinely confused on what the Clippers are doing, or very surprised by the Clippers parting ways with Chris Paul. Really? This is actually what they do to bad old players. Like 2022, traded Eric Bledsoe after half a season, never played an NBA game again. 2023, same with John Wall, never played a game again. 2024, dumped Russ, despite him saying he wanted to continue with the team. In the same year, sent PJ Tucker home, basically never played again. But Chris Paul ain't done. Wouldn't it be great if OKC signed him and won the title? Then got the Clippers pick after the season. That would be the ultimate slap in the face. But the real comparison here is what they did to the other Lob City legend, Blake Griffin. So Blake signed a max with them summer of 2017, but it wasn't a guarantee. He had meetings with the Suns and the Nuggets all lined up, but he canceled because of the Clippers pitch. Set up a Blake Griffin museum where they had stations set up reminding him of different stages of his life with the Clips, had a fake jersey retirement ceremony, and the shirt. Have you seen this shirt? Employees wore shirts comparing Blake to pioneers like Martin Luther King, Abraham Lincoln, and Gandhi. Basically saying, oh, you're not just one of the most important Clippers ever, you're one of the most important people. So he signed. And a few months later, they were like, never mind, sending you to Detroit. What? What happened to Gandhi? So no wonder Blake refused to shake Steve Ballmer's hand when he returned to LA. This is how they treat franchise legends. So before we get to why Chris was sent home, is it just possible that Steve Ballmer is a bad owner? I mean, think about the decisions he has made. Traded a future MVP in SGA and 8 picks for Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Made an under-the-table shady deal with Kawhi and aspiration that could end in disaster. Has backstabbed both franchise legends. At some point, it doesn't matter how much money you have, especially in this second apron era. If dude piles on this much proof, maybe he's the next James Dolan Vivek Ranadive.
I go home, y'all. They sent them home out of nowhere. This is weird, man. This is weird because this is the first big piece of NBA news that I wasn't awake for. I was awake when Kawhi got traded there. I was awake for the Luka Doncic thing pretty much every other time. But this is the one time I was asleep, man. I felt like Whip Chatterley. I just never really sleep. And then the one time we got news about my GOAT, I wasn't there. So imagine my surprise when I wake up. You know, I don't traditionally check my phone immediately. I got hit with a flashbang of so many different notifications like, oh, Kenny not gonna feel good when he woke up. And I don't feel good because I may have seen the last game of my GOAT's career. This is crazy. Now, it's been a few hours. I was patiently waiting for more information and we finally got some. So let's break it down and talk about it. So first we got this from Lou Will, who's obviously still tapped in with the organization after playing there for so many years. I got this at 1.5 speed because he was taking his time with it. But let's listen to what Lou Will had to say.
Yeah, just talking to a few different people over there and just trying to understand what transpired in the early morning hours of this team being in Atlanta. But from what I've gathered, that brought an end to this abruptly was there was a few scenarios, and which CP was holding people accountable from players to staff, from coaching staff up to the front office, and from what I understand, there was a situation where he even addressed the team and apologized and said, look, my criticisms are coming from a good place. I want us to be a good team. I want us to get this thing right. And he was just holding guys accountable. Now, how some of that talk was taken or interpreted, that's up for the players and the coaching staff that was involved and how they felt about it.
We'll leave it at that. Lou Will is saying that the reason he got sent home, because Chris Paul was vocal and critical of the team. Team is bad right now. I made a video just a week ago saying, hey, they're bad, but don't worry. They'll right the ship at least a little bit. Don't worry. OKC's not about to have a top pick. And they've only done nothing but lose since then. They had a game a couple nights ago in Miami where the Miami Heat went on a 30-2 run. They were down by 38 points. And shout out to the Heat because they put that smackdown out. Shout out to Norman Powell for his revenge. But they've done nothing else but lose. So Lou Will says this. And no disrespect to Lou Will.
You know, he's obviously still tapped into the Clipper organization and all, but I wanted just a little bit more confirmation, so I waited, and just a few minutes ago, Shams Charania confirmed it. Chris Paul and his leadership style clashed with the Clippers, sources tell ESPN. Paul had been vocal in holding management, coaches, and players accountable, which the team felt became disruptive, specifically Tyronn Lue, who was not on speaking terms with Paul for a few weeks. This is so insane. My wife used to say before, this is like my full-time job, that the NBA is like, I don't know, reality TV for people that used to play sports. This is a prime example of something like this. The head coach not being on speaking terms to one of his players is nuts.
Well, the LA Clippers are an undeniable clown show. They are, without question or close comparison, the biggest disappointment in the entire NBA. They were one of the few handfuls of title contending teams coming into the season, that based on their offseason of player acquisitions and transactions, an offseason which came at the heels of a pretty damn good second half of the NBA season last year, where they posted the second best net rating league-wide after the All-Star break, second behind only the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then into the playoffs, the Clippers pushed the Denver Nuggets to a seventh and deciding game, a very competitive series and compelling series in the first round, a 4-5 matchup. But then in the offseason, again, they made some acquisitions. They decided to essentially trade Norman Powell in order to make room to bring on Bradley Beal. And, well, how's that one working out for you, Clip Show? Norman Powell is having a career year for the Miami Heat, who are overachieving all of their preseason expectations, while Bradley Beal is already done for the year with a season-ending hip injury. They also brought on a couple of old-timers in Brook Lopez and Chris Paul. Yeah, more on the Chris Paul signing in a moment here. But back to what a pathetic disgrace the LA Clippers are real quick, because also what was percolating in the offseason, in addition to these player transactions and signings, was a massive NBA scandal when their owner and one of the richest men in the world, Steve Ballmer, was alleged to perpetrate a salary cap circumvention scheme with an alleged Ponzi company, Aspiration. That was when he paid Aspiration $50 million, an investment which made him at the time a minority owner. And then purportedly, Aspiration then paid Kawhi Leonard $48 million to do absolutely nothing.
Pretty damn cool! Woo!
But if you hear Steve Ballmer tell you about it, he is the victim. He was taken by them too.
How would I be able? Look, they conned me.
You're one of the richest men in America.
They conned me. I made an investment in these guys thinking it was on the up and up, and they conned me.
Yes, because one of the richest men on the planet, and that isn't hyperbolic, Steve Ballmer spent 14 years from 2000 to 2014 as the CEO of Microsoft. And now his reported net worth, according to Bloomberg Billionaires Index, as of May 2025, is $151 billion, which, according to Forbes, makes him the 8th richest human being on planet Earth. But sure, he didn't have his team of lawyers vet this company before taking a $330 million check from them in 2021. Sure, Steve, you're the victim here. Just total ineptitude from the top on down of this franchise. But then things got really bad and embarrassing because the Clip Show took the court this season, where they are now 5-16 on the season.
What?
Let me repeat that. 5-16. That is good for second to last in the Western Conference. With this roster and with this talent,
It's a complete crap.
they started the season off 3-2. They have won 2 of their last 15 games since. And now the LA Clippers have lost their damn minds by sending Chris Paul home. With whatever that means. Yes, last night they just dismissed Chris Paul. They sent him home from school early. Chris Paul done for the season, at least done with the LA Clippers in the midst of his retirement tour season. Chris Paul returned back to the franchise that he spent several years at. He's one of the greatest players of that franchise's history. His home is in Los Angeles. He was looking forward to playing out his final season. He made an announcement a few weeks ago that this would be his final season. He was looking forward to playing it out in his home, near his family, with the team that he spent several years in his prime with. Send-off that he gets. Sent home a quarter of the way through the season.
Pretty damn cool.
But not to worry, because walking human scumbag Lawrence Frank released a statement. He, by the way, is the president of basketball operations. He issued a statement around 3 a.m. Eastern time when this decision broke initially, that the Clippers want to make one thing clear: no one is blaming Chris for the plight of this team. Well, I would hope not, Lawrence. People should be blaming you, and also, unfortunately, Tyronn Lue, who I've been very high on throughout his entire tenure in the NBA. I myself have called him an undeniable top 5 coach, but he cannot survive this. This team, this roster should not have 5 wins in their first 21 games. Really, Chris Paul shouldn't have been the one that they're getting rid of. It should have been Lawrence Frank and Tyronn Lue out.
You are shit. Hit the bricks, pal, and beat it, because you are going out.
It is currently 2:30 West Coast time as I make this. I just woke up and I saw that Chris Paul has just been released by the Los Angeles Clippers mid-road trip. This is absolutely crazy work by Los Angeles Clippers, and let's unpack this, because I feel like me being up right now, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm not going back to sleep anytime soon. Let's do it. The Los Angeles Clippers are sending home future Hall of Fame point guard Chris Paul in a bizarre severing ties move. Wow. So Justin Russo covers the Los Angeles Clippers, and he got a team statement along with a bunch of other reporters that talk about this. We are parting ways with Chris, and he will no longer be with the team. We will work with him on the next step of his career. Chris is a legendary Clipper who has had a historic career. I want to make one thing very clear. No one is blaming Chris for our underperformance. I accept responsibility for the record we have right now. There are a lot of reasons why we struggled. We are grateful for the impact Chris has made on the franchise. And then someone asked who I was in the statement, and it was provided by Clippers president Lawrence Frank, the former 2019-2020 Executive of the Year. Wow, where do I begin? And then if you go to Chris Paul's Instagram, he shared a story 3 hours ago where it's like, just found out I'm being sent home. This is wild work. The first thing I want to talk about is the timing. The timing of all of this is actually just really sad, but it's not a surprise when we're dealing with what the Clippers have done in the past in terms of just how they've treated some of their stars, and Blake Griffin is one of those examples. First of all, Chris Paul came to the Clippers probably knowing that this was his last hurrah, and he came to the organization where he felt like he made the most impact, felt the most at home. And then the Clippers organization turns around and is like, nope, we're sending you home. Mid-road trip, guys. And this Clippers road trip was going to Atlanta, Memphis, Minnesota, Houston, and Memphis again. Now, I want to highlight the Atlanta and Memphis places because I know that Chris Paul has already basically played his last game in Charlotte, North Carolina, but in terms of other places that are close, Atlanta is close to North Carolina. Kind of. It's like closer than some of the other states. It would have been a great place to see Chris Paul if you're a Southern NBA fan. I just, buddy. I think the Los Angeles Clippers are severely underestimating how important Chris Paul is. And you don't have to like Chris Paul as a player even. I know that Chris Paul, playing against Chris Paul where he like knows every rule, he's so smart, but he'll like, he knows every rule with the refs and all that stuff. I get that. But we respect Chris Paul. Basketball fans, real hoop heads respect Chris Paul, even if Chris Paul was to your team maybe the bane of your existence. You still respect how good he was on the court. This is wild to me. And here's the thing, guys, is that the Clippers, there's no reason for the Clippers to do this. Y'all suck. Y'all are 5-16. And this just reeks of pure desperation, bro. getting rid of Chris Paul for whoever you guys bring in is not turning this season around. So like what's going on up here, honestly? On my screen here, you see the game logs of another player that is north of 38 years old, and he got to finish out the rest of the season. You want to know who that is? Paul Pierce gets to stay until the end of the season here, and Chris Paul does not. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but this is not the best look. Okay, guys? Man. And it's also the sheer timing of it all. You guys doing this at midnight?
You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. I cannot and will not. I just can't. I'm lost for words, honestly. Like I cannot and will not understand why Clippers. Why? Just why? Like I can't believe it that throughout his entire career, his entire prime, he sacrificed everything he's given to this place of the Los Angeles Clippers to try to bring culture into this city. Next thing you know, he brought Lob Simeon with Blake Griffin and all of that, right? Bring Clippers that culture feeling. Bring, that relevancy to Los Angeles Clippers. Because before then, they were shit. Chris Paul came in there due to a kind of a veto situation. We'll get to that later on. Goes in there, make an impact to the Clippers, giving them a playoff relevancy and everything, all type of stuff. Yeah, they didn't win a championship, but at least they got something for Chris Paul out of like his prime and everything else, right? He goes to other teams here and there to try to, success, to try to succeed, whatever, right? After a couple years out of the Clippers, right? His first Clippers, like extent, right? He comes back, made a huge announcement that he was going to make his retirement tour, and he's going to do his retirement thing. This will be his last season. After that, he'll call it quits and all that, and then go from there. Next thing you know, a couple days later, after his retirement, his retirement, whatever, playing with the Clippers. The Clippers doing bad. They're like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 16 or something like that. I don't know. They decided to, they was going on a road trip with Atlanta, right? The GM or the president of the Clippers, whatever, named Lawrence Frank, decided to basically say, "Hey, Chris Paul, listen," like because they were traveling to Atlanta, right? Because they had to play at Atlanta, right? He told him, "Hey, listen," like Lawrence Frank told him, "Hey, listen, Chris Paul, we're gonna have to let you go. We're gonna have to waive you, give you out your contract, trade you, or look for what's best for you in your future, whatever." Basically, in hindsight, they released him out of his farewell tour. Unbelievable. But anyways, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Antoine here, back on the video on the channel. And today's video, not play some more, but we don't got no video, whatever. I'm playing video games right now. We're doing a random talk video in today's video, of course. And it's another random talk video. I have to talk about this. I know I'm a couple of days late off of it, maybe about 4 or 5 days late to the shit. So bear with me, you know what I'm saying? I know a lot of shit come up in my life, whatever. And plus, I want to get this video out immediately, but I couldn't. So I was struggling, whatever. But I got the video out, and I'm going to get this video out real quickly. You know what I'm saying? I know it was going to be a 40-minute, 50-minute random talk video. I don't know, but I'm going to talk about this, give my random thoughts and opinions on the situation because um, this is truly sad and truly messed up, and this hurts me as a lot. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So, without further ado, let's talk about the situation, and let's break down the points and everything, and then give my thoughts and opinions on to it, and we'll go from there, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't gonna lie to you, this might be a little bit of rant, but going to talk about it real quick, give you guys the details of it and everything else to make y'all understand the situation, what's going on. It's everywhere. People still talking about this. I need to talk about this because it's fucked up and it's sad. And also, I mean, he's a fan of this particular basketball player. If you know the basketball player I'm particularly a fan of, what I'm talking about is Chris Paul. Chris Paul is my favorite point guard of all time. I love Chris Paul. People call him the point guard or whatever. I don't go far as saying that, but he's one of those pure point guards that I truly like and respect, and he's also a team leader too as well. That everywhere he goes to, he made that team so relevancy. He made that team a contender, and then they start going out doing better things. You know what I'm saying? And they started to get better as time goes on and on. Hell, he even go as far as bringing the team culture and all that, and that's what Chris Paul has been doing for this team. But unfortunately, I guess his farewell tour doesn't mean nothing because of the release and everything else. And yeah, it's just beyond crazy to me, and but at the same time, not surprising. But we'll get to that later on and all that type of stuff. So keep that in mind. Now, before we get into the today's video and everything else, I want to clarify this real quick. Yes, I'm a Chris Paul fan. I've been a huge fan of him since I was a little kid, dating back when he was in the New Orleans slash OKC team. When he was in New Orleans during that time, it was a kind of difficult situation for New Orleans because they just got out of the Hurricane Katrina. Well, Hurricane Katrina was happening. To me, in my opinion, the most deadliest storm that happened in modern era. He was there during that whole time. Went to go play the OKC, you know what I'm saying, slash, Hornets, because Hornets didn't have a home. The whole entire stadium got destroyed, whatever, because of Hurricane Katrina. He comes in there, make that team relevancy, and make them like a player contender as years come. He asked for a trade out to New Orleans Hornets to go somewhere else. They was about to trade him to the Los Angeles Lakers. However, David Stern vetoed that shit because New Orleans did not have an owner at the time. So David Stern became the owner for temporarily and said vetoed that shit and sent him to Los Angeles Clippers, to another LA team. Which that to me is still stupid because in my opinion, if Chris Paul and Kobe were teammates, they would have at least 1 or 2 rings, but that's just my opinion. That's not here, that's not there. Go to Los Angeles Clippers with Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, who they just got into to the league like they're in like a year 1 or year 2 in the league, and let's just say Lob City was a thing. They became a really heavy contender over the years, and they started to build up to be great. You know what I'm saying, all type of stuff too as well, and all of that. Unfortunately, they had some injuries here and there, like a curse thing, whatever people call it. And Chris Paul went to go play something else, which is like the Rockets. They became contenders. They almost beat the impossible Golden State Warriors team. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Then Chris Paul went to go play with the Suns, well, OKC, at one point. Helped us SGA in his development. Well, because he was traded to he was a Clipper at one point. And he went to Thunder and all that, which is a lot of people consider that to be one of the worst trades in NBA history and all that. You know what I'm saying? He helped SGA and these younger players in his wing, and they ended up becoming a playoff contending team and eventually NBA champion. And then, he went to, I guess it was the Warriors next. Didn't work out with Curry and them. Then, of course, he went to, after OKC, he went to Suns, gave them their first run of an NBA Finals championship, became a contender over there. They started winning because they couldn't do nothing with Devin Booker. And Devin Booker was like the only guy that was contributing to the Phoenix Suns teams. And, Chris Paul came in there and changed everything out of that one throughout his leadership, pure point guard skills and everything else. And, the Phoenix Suns, being in the NBA Finals, ended up, being, being like a contender for many years. Well, at least a couple of years that Chris Paul was there. And unfortunately, they didn't win, but at least Chris Paul got his glimpse of the finals. So that's great on that one, you know what I'm saying? That happened, and I think he went to the Warriors. Things didn't work out. Then he goes to San Antonio Spurs. He played all 82 games with Wemby. He helped Wemby get on his wings or whatever, and Wemby learned a lot from Chris Paul. And eventually he comes into be a superstar we got today. You know what I'm saying? So, Chris Paul throughout his entire career has been a really good, I would say, a really good teammate for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And even though some people have some wording and whatever and all that when he well, the way his leadership is and all that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But you have to understand from Chris Paul's perspective, he wants to be competitive. He wants to win. He don't want to lose or do whatever, you know what I'm saying? He actually wants to win. Even though, yes, his player, his efficiency, his points per game is not what it used to be, but he still wants to be that veteran leader to like lead a team to a promised land, to a championship contending thing, and that's what he wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Keep this in mind. Chris Paul is a multi-time All-Star, multi-time All-NBA player. He's second in assists behind Josh Stockings. He's second in steals behind Josh Stockings. He's been a multi-time assist leader, multi-time, steal leader. You know what I'm saying? That's a record. You know what I'm saying? He has multiple years where he was like in a contending run for MVP. Like this dude literally has resume that makes him a first ballot Hall of Famer. Right, if you like him or not, he has a resume to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And yes, I know some people in the comments are going to sit there and say, well, he's still not that good because of down 33 for three, that stupid ass fucking bullshit, whatever. Whatever. He's trash. He's 40 years old, but he's contributing to the team with the whole everything else besides his points. Through everything, being a leader, a voice, all that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I guess his leadership got so rusty to a lot of people to a point where they want him gone. And that's what we just saw on December 4th at midnight. I repeat, yes, at midnight, around like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, 8 a.m., before first take of ESPN was even around, before social media presence was like even up for many people were waking up, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that happened, right? December 4th, 2024. I'm not 2024, 2025, sorry. So on December 4th of 2025, sorry, Chris Paul got released by the Clippers. Well, technically he's still there, but they're trying to work a trade for him. But basically he's been released by the Clippers. He was just trying to do his, farewell tour and everything else, try to get a little last, hoorah, you know what I'm saying? Try to get a last, go out with a bang. And, he want to go out with a team that he's been like basically spent most of his time with, and that's what he wanted to for the sake of for his career, because how much he put all of his all to the Los Angeles Clippers and make the relevancy, make them good, and make them a contender. Because like I said, before this whole entire shit, before Chris Paul came into Los Angeles Clippers, they were dog shit. Blake Griffin couldn't save this team. He was only like in his second year. And it wasn't enough. Like Clippers will be like this piece of shit organization. You know what I'm saying? They were not that great to begin with, and they already had to deal with a racist ass owner and all that before Steve Ballmer came there. And I had to deal with his ass because the whole Kawhi letter, quote unquote, allegedly expired expiration. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. That's already bad enough, right? And now they have to deal with the fact that this team's ass, they're old as fuck, and their pick that they have is going to OKC. Which, by the way, this team OKC, they are set to like most likely break another NBA record for the record they're doing right now, because it's ridiculous. But which you got to blame the Clippers for, because they did make that big huge trade, that trade the first round picks they could have got. They could have got that back, and at that time it was great, but then now it's looking back to it, it's probably the worst trade that the Clippers have ever done. Many people say that was the worst trade in NBA history, but I still think it's Luka Doncic getting traded to the Lakers. That was the worst trade in NBA history, in my opinion. But I wouldn't be mad if y'all say that was the Clippers trade with the Thunder trade and all that is the worst one. I wouldn't not be mad at that one if y'all say that. But that's not here, that's not there. So basically that happened, right? Obviously, Chris Paul, like I said, he was doing this world tour, do his little final, hoorah, give him his retirement. He wants to end his career with the team that he spent most of his prime with, and they straight up let him go. They straight up let him go. They straight up said, "No, we don't want to deal with your ass. We're gonna let you go." Like, and mind you, we're still in the beginning of the season. We're not even halfway there yet. We're still in the beginning of the season, of the basketball season, and he got let go. We're like what 20 to like 21 or 22 like plus games into the season, and like he got let go just like that with a snap of the finger. I don't know why. I don't get why they did this, but I guess they probably have the reasons of why they did it though. But we'll get into details on that one. So yeah, I'm gonna show you guys the details in that one before I get my thoughts, opinions on the whole entire situation, because it's gonna be a little bit rant here and there, but I want to like give my thoughts and opinions on this one. So let me go give you guys the whole article and everything else, and then pop up and see what's going on, because there are a lot of details of why Chris Paul was let go and all that, and let's just say it's not good. So let me guys show you guys what I'm talking about. So I got this on Twitter, obviously. I screenshotted this one. It says, breaking news, the Clippers are parting ways with Chris Paul. The team announced it. The team will work with him on the next step of his career. So basically around 3 o'clock a.m., around 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock or whatever, midnight, where you want to say, where people are already sleeping and all this other type of stuff. Unfortunately, they decided to part ways with Chris Paul, meaning that they will either waive him or trade him to another team. Basically, this is what they're going to be doing, and that's what they done. They basically say, you know what, we're going to part ways with them. A lot of people, when they heard about this news, they thought that this was fake. I thought it was fake too as well, but it turns out Shams Harati, many other reports came out, saying the most reasonable resource for the whole NBA news, whatever. Shams made that report, same report, said the exact same thing. And he went in more details about why the Clippers are part ways with him and all that. He made the exact same report. ESPN covered this whole thing too as well. So it's like, God damn, the Clippers are parting ways with Chris Paul. And basically, they're releasing him during his retirement tour, which is absolutely insane to think about. And I'm not going to lie, that's completely fucked up, though. And many people at this time has been wondering, like, okay, why they released Chris Paul during his world tour? If they didn't want him, why they brought him back throughout they knew he was going to retire? So they kind of got me thinking, okay, so they signed Chris Paul to 1 year so he could do his little retirement thing. They didn't release him a couple of days after, him announced his retirement. But why though? That was the question I was looking forward when I heard this announcement, and many others. But then there was more details to this whole entire thing, and it gets a little bit crazy, if you ask me. So like around like December 4th of 2025, like around like 3 o'clock a.m. It's like after the announcement that they were parting ways with Chris Paul and all that, during his retirement tour. Lawrence Frank, who is the GM of the Clippers or the president of the Clippers Association, I'm not sure. He's the president of the NBA Association. That's what I'm hearing. But I'm assuming he's the GM too as well. I don't know. He said that the following: we are parting ways with Chris, and he will no longer be with the team. We will work with him on his next step of his career. And then there's more of it. He also says this, and I quote, he said, I want to make one thing very clear. No one is blaming Chris for our underperformance. I accept responsibility for the record we have right now, and there are a lot of reasons why we struggle. We're grateful for what the impact that Chris Paul has made on the franchise. So basically, he said that it's not him, it's me type of shit. You know what I'm saying? It's not you, it's me, type of shit. You know how your girl break up with you, or your boyfriend break up with you. Say it's not you, it's me. But really, he's saying it's he or she saying it's you. So basically, that's what we got from here. So that's already crazy enough, you know what I'm saying? And then there's more details about this whole shit too as well. As the later goes down the line, like there was a lot more other things that was going on about this whole entire situation. Shams Charania, who is the the NBA news resource, you know what I'm saying, that talks about this whole entire news and everything and reports. Of course, he made a tweet the following of the reasonings of why Chris Paul had been waived or part ways with the Clippers, and why the Clippers released Chris Paul and all that other type of stuff. So the reason why Chris Paul was released by the Clippers, based off of this, and there are many others of this whole entire thing, but I want to point at Shams real quick. It says right here, it says Chris Paul and his leadership style clashes with the Clippers. Sources tell ESPN. Paul has been vocal in holding management, coaches, and players accountable, which the team felt very disruptive. Specifically, Ty Lue was not on speaking terms with Paul for several weeks. So basically, the reason why Chris Paul was let go because he was holding his team accountable. Let me repeat it again. For all the men and women in the back and in the front too as well. The reason why Chris Paul was basically like waived by the Clippers on his farewell retirement tour is because he was holding his team accountable. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Imagine you try to hold your co-workers and everything they're not doing accountable at work. Try to be vocal of what they're supposed to do, and this person, he or she ain't doing their job. You tell your boss, say, hey, listen, they're not doing the work and all of that. They need to start doing the work or whatever. Next thing you know, you find out you're being fired because you was holding your co-workers accountable. This is basically what Chris Paul had to deal with. He was held this team accountable, and he got let go. Basically, they did not like the way he's holding the people accountable, so they let him go because he was just holding the team accountable. How bad this Clippers team is, like that makes no sense to me. I want y'all to do me a favor real quick. Pause the video at this very moment. Type the NBA standings and type and go into the Western Conference and see what the Los Angeles Clippers are. Because while I'm looking at my phone right now, I'm looking at Los Angeles Clippers. As I'm recording this, they are 6-18 of the season. They lost the last 2 of their 8 games, the last 10 games that they played. They only won 2 games, so lost 8. The worst team right now is the Pelicans at 3-21. Let that sink in real quick. This team made the playoffs last year. They took the Nuggets to Game 7. They took Jokic and his team, who was not that great to be honest with you, to 7 games. This team had high hopes. Kawhi was playing a really good basketball. Although he was unavailable from time to time in the games, but hey, he was balling. Him, James Harden, although James Harden Game 7 and all that was really bad, but still, there was balling. Their hopes and then their prediction poll, preseason poll, whatever, have them actually being in the playoffs and contending for the championship, or at least better yet, at least making the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, they're 6-18 and they're one of the worst teams in the NBA right now. They're worse than the Mavericks, and the Mavericks is 9-16. Let that sink in real quick. And they let Chris Paul go. I don't get it. This makes no sense to me. It will never make sense to me. And what this is the prime example why the Clippers, the Los Angeles Clippers, has been and always will be the most piece of shit team in NBA history. They're literally the Los Angeles Clippers for a reason. Like I said before, I said it again. This team will forever be the most piece of shit team or the most dog shit team in NBA history. This is why they're the sons of the Los Angeles Lakers. Why they can never be up their level and why they can never get shit together. Like I said before, and I said again, they never had culture before Chris Paul came in there. When Chris Paul came in there, culture was written right there in there, Lob City. That was Los Angeles Clippers culture. And before Los Angeles Clippers got Chris Paul, like I said before, they were irrelevant. This Darren Miles nigga was dog shit. He wasn't that great. He only had 2-3 seasons being great, but whatever. Eric Gordon can save his team. Eric Bledsoe can save his team. Alger Brand can save that team. They had zero culture before Chris Paul came in. And when Chris Paul came in there, he changed all that shit and made the Clippers who they are. Well, at the time, not right now. But you know what I mean. And it was just beyond crazy to me that they let him go. At 3:00 a.m., on a team that's traveling to Atlanta, to face Atlanta, he already got his bags packed up, ready to go to Atlanta. Lawrence Frank just straight up told him at a hotel in Atlanta, said, "Hey, listen, you got to go, Chris Paul. We'll part ways with you." And then Chris Paul in the Instagram story have to tell everyone that I was let go, and it was true. It was confirmed. He was let go. He was released by the Clippers, who is crazy. He could have went any other team. He could have went any other team. Could stay with the Spurs or whatever. But he chose to come here because he wants to get his last hurrah. He want to finish this his career off with a team that he spent most of his prime with, off a team that that he truly like, that people truly love him for. And they straight up just said, "No, fuck you, in your retirement tour, we're gonna let you go." While they're in a road trip to Atlanta, and basically they gotta go get Atlanta right at that time. And Lawrence Frank Shrimp said, "Yeah, you gotta go, Chris Paul. Knocked on his hotel door." Chris Paul had to confirm it to us that he was let go, literally. ESPN and then Shams and everybody else said the same thing. That's crazy. You let go of a man out of retirement tour or whatever. I get it. I'm going to see some dumbass niggas on the comment section saying that, well, Chris Paul's old. He's 40. He doesn't contribute to the team. Nigga, no shit. He's 40 years old. You're not expecting a 40-year-old to contribute to any team or whatever at their age. Yeah, he's averaging 3-point whatever in the game, whatever. But he still have that veteran leadership that this team needs. Because Kawhi ain't doing that shit. James Harden doing that shit. And Ty Lue ain't doing that shit. And I love Ty Lue. Ty Lue is one of the best coaches in NBA we got right now. But he is not doing good right now with his coaching because his team is 6-18. They was in the playoffs going against the Nuggets in the first round. And they had a 50-plus win season last year. Now they're on the verge to have one of the worst seasons in Clippers history. And the worst part about this, and not many people not talk about this, but if they have a bad record, or if they're below as they are right now, the second below as they is right now, you know that pick that the Thunder have right now for the 2027 pick? There's a possibility that Thunder team, who is like, I'm going to look at my phone right now, this Thunder team, they are 23-1. They're on the verge of making another history in NBA right now. If the Clippers have a terrible season, which they're on the verge of having right now, and they're not considering any playoffs or whatever, that Thunder team can get that lottery pick from the Los Angeles Clippers. And there's a possibility they might get a top 5 draft pick or the top 10 draft pick. The way the Clippers play. If the Clippers play well, then they won't get any. They won't get any out of the draft. They'll probably get like late first round, whatever. But because the Clippers are playing bad, the Thunder are on the verge of possibly getting maybe a top 5 draft pick or a top 10. Regardless, that's nasty work. And the reason why is because they trade away every aspect, their picks and everything, for Paul George a couple years ago. And along with that, SGA, all that too as well. Which, by the way, SGA is on the verge of having another MVP season and possibly winning another championship. I don't want to jinx it, though, but it looks like what he's doing right now is some crazy-ass work. But thanks to the Clippers, who are a dumbass organization, probably the most dog shit organization in NBA history, decided to give all the ass up to Paul George, and now they're looking dumb. And now, not only that, though, they now got the inspired situation going on, too, as well, with Kawhi and fucking Steve Ballmer, and now their team is trash. And then you let Chris Paul go on his retirement tour. You couldn't get all the money, all that, whatever, for Chris Paul to stay, but you could get more money for Kawhi Leonard, who's barely able to contribute anything in the Los Angeles Clippers. Ever since he got to Los Angeles Clippers, he's done nothing. And it's not to disrespect Kawhi Leonard, because I love Kawhi Leonard, but he has done nothing for this team. James Harden has put more of the hard work on this team than Kawhi, and that's true, and I stand by it. But that doesn't matter because teamwork makes the dream work, and unfortunately, the dream is 6-18, and Thunder more likely going to get that top 5 pick or that pick based off of what they do. And now they decided to let Chris Paul go. This team is the worst. I'm gonna say this right now. I believe the Clippers, in my opinion, is probably the worst organization in NBA history. The worst team in NBA history. I'm sorry. I know y'all give shit to Sacramento Kings or whatever, but at least they got something over there. But for this team right over here, this team is a piece of shit. Oh my lord. This team is a piece of shit. Honestly, a piece of shit. The worst organization team that has no respect for their legends, the people that came there here before them, and then straight up just let Chris Paul go because they just want to let him go. They cannot get this man his retirement tour. He could have went to any other team, but he chose to come here because he wants to give the Clippers his last hurrah, and they let him go just like that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And meanwhile that's happening, OKC just laughing like, hey, y'all keep being trash. We'll get that pick. If y'all do bad, we'll get that top 5, maybe that top 10 pick. I'm telling you, we'll get even nastier next year. Y'all think the Warriors were nasty with their little shit they got going on a couple years ago when they was going back-to-back winning championships, whatever? Oh, you haven't seen us yet, and we're younger too. I'm telling you, man, the Clippers are so fucking stupid. Beyond stupid. And it's even more stupid than they let Chris Paul go. I get it. I understand. He ain't good like he used to. But this man's on his last like retirement tour. You can at least give him a decency to let him stay and let him finish off his season this year and then retire. For all the Chris Paul haters out there, or who don't like Chris Paul, whatever. And here's another thing. People are saying that, well, he's been too vocally. He's always been too fucking accountable, whatever. He don't do anything right. Nigga, there has been so many situations in this particular season where Kawhi is not doing anything on defense, and Chris Paul has to remind him of what he needs to go to do, whatever. He even asked the coaches like they need to switch over Kawhi to see where to go from there, and they're not going where he's saying what he's doing. He would try to held a team meeting with Ty Lue to basically have a talk discussion about what the team direction, what they're doing. Ty Lue wasn't having it, and so there's no communication. It was already bad enough. So they want this dude gone. They didn't want to take this dude. They don't want to take accountability or responsibility on anything. When Chris Paul was trying to be vocal because he hates to be on this shitty ass dog shit team that ain't doing good, and he wants this team to get better because he knows his team is capable of being good, and they are. Even though they're like one of the oldest teams in the NBA, they're probably the oldest team in the NBA right now. But with playoff mindsets and veteran leadership and all that, it could go a long way, and they could do something with it. But no, they released Chris Paul out of his own retirement tour. Can't have a decency to give this man a retirement tour. If y'all gonna be ass, fine, but at least give Chris Paul what he want, man. After everything he's done for you, but it's no surprise because if y'all know Clippers history, they tend to do this shit to NBA stars that have given them all their all to the organization and end up stabbing the back. They did this with Blake Griffin. When Blake Griffin signed a 5-year max, there was teams like the Nuggets, New York Knicks, and many others that was trying to get to Blake Griffin. But he hold off that shit to go back to the Clippers because the Clippers promised him because he wants to stay as a Clippers for the rest of his life. That's what he wanted to do, and that's what ended up happening. He signed like a 5-year. I don't know if it's a non-guarantee or a guarantee, whatever, right? Then a couple months later, they trade Blake Griffin to the Pistons. So this is the first time they did a superstar this dirty. They have done Blake Griffin dirty over the time. Like he signed the 5-year. They was promising he's gonna have his own statue. They gave him a fake ass fucking statue thing or a fake ass fucking jersey, retirement hang up thing, and then they trade him to the Pistons. That was already crazy enough. And then of course they did Turner like they did Eric Bledsoe to as well. They did Eric Gordon to as well. They traded them off for no entirely reason without giving them communication, whatever. And then of course they did who else they did? I forgot this other person they did, but there's so many players they have done over the years that was so wrong. It kind of makes you think that this organization is just a piece of shit. It's unbelievable and it's sad, bro. It's really sad that they're doing this to Chris Paul, and all he wants is a retirement tour. All he wants is a retirement, last hurrah, whatever, man. And that's sad, man. And here's the saddest part about this. I don't know if there's any other team that's willing to pick up Chris Paul. I hope there's another team out there that's willing to give Chris Paul one more season and give him one more hurrah before he goes. Because I would hate for him to have his last basket against the Miami Heat when they're down like 33, like whatever. They went like a 30-plus point run, the Miami Heat. And then all of a sudden he shoot this last three and say, "Oh, CP3 cutting down the 33 or 30 whatever whatever." That would be like completely even more sad because he already get make fun of doing that shit. Whatever. It's just insane, and I feel bad, man. I really do feel bad for Chris Paul, man, and I hope that there's another team out there that's willing to give him a chance. And it's just completely sad, bro. It's honestly sad, bro. It's really sad, man. And to make matters even worse, like I said, I don't know if there's going to be any other team that could do that, but hopefully there are. We'll have to wait and see we go from there. And honestly, I don't know what to say. Now, the last thing before I even get out of here and end the video, I know this is a long ass Random Talk video, but I got to talk about this real quick. Clippers fan base. I don't know what to tell y'all, man. This team's shit, and I hope and pray to God that this whole inspiration that Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard doing this whole scandal shit allegedly. I hope and pray that they do get some evidence, because I don't know if they're gonna get some evidence anytime soon, any there or there. Because if you guys don't know, the NBA is still investigating the Clippers for the whole entire Inspire scandal stuff between Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard. I hope and pray that they punish them for this, because after we did with Chris Paul, they need to get punished for this shit. Because there's no reason you let go of a dude who's giving you who's like literally, clearly your best player in your franchise history, and you do him dirty by letting him go. While at 3 a.m., while he's in Atlanta in a road trip. Like, makes no sense. And I hope and pray that in the Inspire situation comes out, and we see some evidence that Kawhi and Steve Ballmer allegedly doing some shady shit. I hope it comes out and the NBA investigate that shit and they find out about that shit, because they need to get punished for what they did to this shit. This was unacceptable. They need to get punished. They need to get dealt with this shit. Someone got to hold this organization accountable. Chris Paul tried to do that. Now he left. They need to get more accountable with this whole entire inspiration. I hope that they do find the evidence and punish the fuck out of Clippers. And if they do, I'll make the video, man. Because honestly, what they just did here just mean like it's just fucked up in the whole entire situation, man. What's the point in getting Chris Paul knowing that you was gonna let him go? I don't get it, man. But y'all tell me, man. It's just all over the place. It's ridiculous, and I figure why not make a video talking about this, get my thoughts or opinions on it, and yeah, man, I had to let this out, man. It's crazy, man. I hope and pray that the NBA do find out about this whole inspiration with Clippers and punish them even more, because they deserve all this bad thing coming to them. Trainer access for Paul George, which was going to depend on be shit, and let it go Chris Paul. At this point, the shady stuff that inspires that's going on in the Clippers organization, I hope NBA finds that out and they punish the Clippers for it. But with that being said, man, thank y'all for watching. Leave a like, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about the whole entire Chris Paul being released by the Clippers during this whole entire farewell tour. I know this is a long ass Random Talk video. I do apologize, but I had to get this out of my chest. More like a podcast, whatever. But I had to get this out of my chest because this is ridiculous. It's sad that they're doing Chris Paul like this, and the Clippers need to get dealt with, honestly. And yeah, let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about the whole entire situation with Chris Paul getting released by the Clippers during this farewell tour. And yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. And as always, take care of him out. Peace.